This tutorial will cover how to create a histogram. At the end of our tutorial, we will have a histogram that looks just like the one shown here, as well as our bin and frequency chart that will help us arrive at our overall histogram graph. So to get started here, let's go ahead and start by setting up our data. So here we have our two columns of data that will eventually become our histogram. We have our number of coins in one column and our classes. Now, why we only have the single piece of data in the classes column is because Excel understands that this is the ending number in each particular class. For example, if our first class covers anywhere between 35 and 40, Excel takes the last number of the class and arranges it like so. So there's no need to input the entire range because Excel does that for us. And so with that said, let's go ahead and start creating our bin and frequency chart. So what you want to do first is head up to your data tab. Now, after you click on your data tab, you want to look to your far right and ensure that you have this nifty little function, the data analysis function, in order to complete your histogram. If you don't, no worries. Where you can find this nifty little function is under the File tab. So click on File, and you want to go down to Options. Once you've selected your options, you want to go ahead and click it on Add-ins, and you want to look for the analysis tool pack. Now, if your data analysis function is not enabled, likely you'll find it under your inactive application add-ins. Once you do that, you want to just go ahead and click on it and highlight it. Ensure that Excel add-ins is visible in your Manage drop-down list and click Go. Next, you'll receive an add-ins pop-up, and this will enable you to check off the functions that you'll need. Now, you don't need every function in this box, but by all means, you are free to select every function in this box. Just ensure that the analysis tool pack is one of those functions you select, and click OK. Once you've done that, you should now have the data analysis function enabled, and you should be able to click on it. Go ahead and click on that nifty little button there. We'll receive a data analysis pop-up box, and you want to click histogram and OK. Now, in this box, it's asking us basically to input some data so that we can create our bin and frequency chart. We're going to start with the input range, which will give us our bin. What we want to do is ensure that we click inside the field, the input range field, until we see a blinking cursor. Select the first piece of data in our first column up under the label. We do not want to include the label. We want to hold down our mouse key and just drag it down to the very last piece of data. Next, we want to click in the bin range field and repeat the step, starting with the piece of data underneath the word classes. We do not want to include the word classes, we just want the data. So we'll hold down our left mouse key and drag to the last piece of data, and there we go. We don't want to do anything with the labels field, we want to leave that blank. But we do want to go down here underneath output options and ensure that the output range radio button is selected. We want to click inside the field until we see a blinking cursor, and then we want to click anywhere in Excel, any free space within Excel, because what this does is tell Excel that we don't want this information to be displayed anywhere but on this same worksheet. If we don't select this radio button, then Excel will place the chart that we create on a new sheet, and we don't want that. So we want to make sure our cursor is blinking. Click anywhere in the empty space, and then click OK. And what we'll see here is we now have our bend and frequency chart, which will allow us to create our histogram. Now don't worry about this more down here for right now, for the time being, because what that basically does is it captures any residuals that we didn't catch in the beginning, anything that doesn't fall within the classes that we selected. However, fortunately for us, everything was covered because there is a 0 there, letting us know that there were no residuals, so we can move forward. But we will get rid of that later on so that we can have a nice clean histogram, clean appearance to our histogram. So let's highlight the band and frequency chart, everything in it down to the more. Click on our Insert tab, our column, and we'll just click on the first column we have there. Now what you want to do next here is click on any bar in the column, because we don't want to keep it like this, because by no means does this look like our histogram, but we do want to make it look more like a histogram. So let's right click on any of the bars and select the very last option, which is Format Data Series. When the Format Data Series box pops up, only thing we want to focus on is the gap width, and we want to slide that slider to the left, far left, to all the way to where it says no gap, and click close. As we can see, when we come back to our chart, our gaps are eliminated, and now we have a histogram we can truly work with. We'll go ahead and get rid of that, and back to that more area that we don't want. It kind of makes our histogram look a little amateur, and we don't want that. We want it to look a lot more polished, a lot more professional. So what we're going to do is simply highlight the last field in our band and frequency chart. And what I want you to do is hover your mouse over that area that you highlighted, right click and click delete. When your box pop up, the first option that's selected is OK. Click OK, and that removed our more. So now our histogram looks a lot more polished, a lot more professional, and now it's ready for your use. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, feel free to post.